Bre, welcome to the show. I'm so stoked you're here. Welcome to Own It.
Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to be here. Let's freaking go, baby.
It feels so surreal. Like we have these combos every day in real life, just us. And so to have you in studio here in Boulder, flew in from Minnesota.
Oh my gosh.
We made a trip out of it.
Who knows what is going to happen in the next 40, 50 minutes. Watch out, listeners.
I know. Okay, so I know that I want to steer the conversation with you today on motherhood and business because I am not yet a mom and you're a mom of 3 and you've built an incredibly successful company. You're the founder of the VA Leadership Academy, of Icon Enlightening Agency, of Women Who Scale. You are just a multi-passionate founder of all things. And it's always blown my mind, like you're one of my best friends, how you have been able to do both business and motherhood, and in my perspective, do it really well. But also I know you because you tell me all the behind the scenes and how it's been not the most glamorous. It's not the most perfect curated, I'm a mom and a business owner. And so I wanted to just really talk about that because I know I have moms that listen to the show. They're growing businesses and brands they care about, and you've done it and you're doing it and going bigger and bigger and bigger. So yeah.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is I always wanted to be an entrepreneur growing up, but I never had the urgency and push and catalyst, and motherhood was that. It was the first time in my life I had my first baby. I originally went back to work. I made it 3 months. I cried every day. I was like, this is not it. And it was at that point where all of my fears and hesitations and doubts about just going all in on life melted away because it was the first time I ever had a purpose that was really bigger than me. And I didn't want to give up the best parts of motherhood. I wanted to be there for the first words, the first, tumbles and bumped knees and elbows and all of that. But I think like you and probably all of your listeners, we're like high achievers AF. And we're like, well, what else can we do? Like, I want to have my own purpose. And I mean, I would just say motherhood's been the biggest gift and blessing, in my personal growth, but also in just is the catalyst to creating the life that I really wanted to have and go all in on things that I'd always wanted to do.
Yeah. Something I think you've taught me in just watching you work and exist. Like if I call you and you're like, oh, I'm in the tub, I just put the girls to bed and now I'm whatever, or, oh, I have a pocket of time here. And I think I had this perception of when I become a mom, my business is gonna either fail or go under, or I'm not gonna be able to hold both. And I know you said to me, no, actually, my girls gave me this like surge of energy or almost forced me to be a better time manager because you only had so much time and you're like, how am I going to optimize the 2 hours I can work to actually do, whether it's the money making activities or the marketing stuff or whatever. And it's like, you've kind of shifted that perspective for me. So I just want to say thank you because I think that's part of the reason why I didn't know that if I wanted to be a mom, because I like love my work so much. And I'm like, I didn't want it to compete, but I think I'm starting to really feel like, oh, they actually can be symbiotic.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that I see, because I support a lot of moms in business too, is that we think we have to silo our identity. So we're like mom here, wife here, business owner here, woman here. And I think that's what happens is you build these like internal pressure combustion engines and they compete against each other. And so what I've learned to do in motherhood and life and business is like let them all coexist messily. Like it is so messy. I've learned to be able to work because I've never had my own office. I've always worked from the kitchen table, my kids' playroom. Now I'm in my 4-year-old's bedroom and, she's 4. So she's still home with me during the day. And so you get good at like being present where your feet are, but also letting it be messy and loud around you. And just like you said, being hyper efficient with pockets of time, but also letting them coexist together.
Yeah. And I can imagine that. So, I've shared this with you, but my listeners may or may not know. I don't know how much I've talked about it, but like Kurt and I are in the talking phases of like becoming parents, and I'm like, oh shit, like this is crazy, and I was really scared to become a mom and I didn't think I wanted to. And then meeting Kurt, that made me realize like, okay, I do want to be a mom. I want to have kids and I want to do it with this man. And I like really want to see Kurt be a dad. I know he's going to be an incredible dad. And I knew that if if we went to the end of our life without kids, that we would regret it personally. And so we've been having more of those conversations. I did my my reading, my astro, what is it called? What's the reading that we did with Sarita? What is it called?
Ooh.
It's like an astrology reading, but it's a different form of astrology. I forgot what it's called, but she basically told me after 37 is when I will be the most prime for children, which is kind of on the later side, I think. I mean, I don't know, but I'm like, okay, well, cool. Let's freaking do it. And so Kurt and I have been in more conversations about it. And like the closer I feel like we got to it, the more I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. It's like becoming really real. And it's making me already make different decisions in business. It's like almost the idea of having a child is like, I need to restructure shit. Like I can't keep operating like this because I will not have time to raise a child. Like I need to reorganize things. I need to build better team. I need to delegate better. I need to be a better leader. And so it's initiating me, and she or he is not even here yet.
Isn't that beautiful though? You can already feel their energy and they're like, hey mom, get ready.
Yeah. And so what I'm curious is with your first one, and then you have 3 now. They're what age?
8, 7, and 4.
Yeah. Okay. 8, 7, 4. So that's a lot. And it's all girls.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of
emotions.
It's like, how do you really, I guess, work with those competing needs of like, you have the business needs and you have your needs and you have your daughter's needs and then you have your marriage needs. Like there's a lot of things that need you. So how do you manage that?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that's coming through is I think we feel mom guilt. We're like, oh, if I go here, I'm sacrificing this, or I'm not being fully present for this. And I think I have had to normalize my own desires and my identity in motherhood and recognize that I was going to say is just as important. Actually, I would argue it's more important, because if I'm happy and fulfilled, I'm able to better show up for my family. Like I would not be the mother that I am if I didn't have my own thing and allow myself to go all in. Or even, I've been here for the last 5 days visiting, and like my hubby's holding down the fort at home with the girls. And, it's taken work to get there. But I've had to learn how to advocate for what's important to me. And fortunately, I've been blessed. He's been very supportive with like, hey, you're doing this thing. He needed, like, that's a whole nother conversation. He needed to see proof to be able to like, okay, yeah, go all in. And so I had to essentially say, watch me, instead of, can I do this? Can I have your support? And like show him after the fact that I had built something crazy, which also brings me back to, you were talking about how you're thinking about restructuring your business. I've always built for scale since day one. And that's why in 13 months, I went from a $70 month to $100K cash month, because I've been savage about creating leverage and capacity in my business to allow me to be present for my family, my girls. We live on a farm. We've got all kinds of critters. It's like you get to have it all in motherhood and life and business and all the things.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that I was most drawn to with you, like as now one of my best friends. It's like, I love the energy of no limits. Like there are no limitations, limitations are bullshit. And it's like, you're an expander for me in the arena of motherhood in that way, because I'm not yet there. And so that's something that I've noticed I keep hitting an upper edge around. And it's really fascinating to be like, oh, wow, this is an area where I feel like, ooh, how can I hold all of this? And so it's bringing up, the questions of scalability and blah, 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 blah. And so it's just been super cool as like your friend to be like, oh my God, dude, you're fucking awesome. And the fact that you can hold it all, do it all, blah, blah, blah. And of course you have moments where you're like, fuck this shit. and that you have the breakdowns and you're working in your kid's room and you're like, what am I doing? Like I'm running this entire company from a playroom.
Literally. Yeah. Well, I think society tells us that when we become moms, like that's our identity and we have to give up, parts of ourselves. And I think that's what's coming through as you're sharing. It's like you feel like once you become a mom, like everything else has to fall away. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, what if motherhood was the catalyst to amplify the parts of you that are so magical and powerful, and you just get to bring motherhood in as like this it's like we went for a walk this morning and I was like, Sam, I just can see you with like the baby carrier on. And like, you don't have to give up the things that you love. Like, what if they just get better with kids?
Yeah. I think that's the message that, like, that's the core message of like why I wanted to have this convo with you. It's like, I think that whether moms decide to start businesses or someone has a business and is about to enter motherhood, I think both of those scenarios, it's like there's a lot of stuff that comes up. Limitations, limiting beliefs, just questions, capacity. Oh shit, I got to talk with my partner or my husband. How are we going to manage all of this? If you're near family or not. Like there's a lot of moving pieces and logistics. And you use the word advocate for yourself. I think also that, as a lot of my listeners are really learning how to double down and use their voice and ask for what they need or ask for what they want or share what their desires are, what they're here to build, or like, hey, husband, I love you and I love the kids, or I love our life. And there's also this thing that I really want to pursue. And it's like being able to hold both, of not saying my work's more important than you or my family's more important than my work. It's like it can all be important. And I think we can have chapters and seasons and all of that. But I think for everyone listening to know that there must be a phase of setting those expectations with the partner. I know Kurt and I are already starting to have those convos and there's no child here yet. And like, of like, okay, who's going to do what? Like, what are our roles and responsibilities in the family unit, or what are our roles and responsibilities in the team? And it's like, I think, do you think that that is critical in team building and in family team building with kids, to be able to know what you own and what they own so that you don't feel like you're juggling a million things?
Yes. And I would say so much of that comes through when you're in the middle of it. It's like you almost don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But I think the most powerful thing, and this is such like woman and voice, is asking for support and also being okay receiving support. Like you are not meant to do it alone. I remember even before I built my business, I was kind of in that ideation phase, and I had told Justin, I'm like, I want some days alone at home. Like I feel like I need them. And he's like, okay, let's do in-home daycare. There's a great local lady. And so even before I built my business, we had set up my youngest would go for 3 days a week. And I think it created that space, and it's like, it didn't even make sense at the time, but it did. Yeah. And something else that I've learned too, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, this is like hitting me in the heart. I worked in fundraising and development in my corporate career. And one of the mottos was, if you ask for money, you're going to get advice. If you ask for advice, you're going to get money. And so that message really stuck with me, and I've applied it in so many different areas. But with my husband, how I've kind of reframed that mindset is to ask for support instead of permission. I think a lot of women, that's a generalization, but I think some women go wrong there, where they're like, hey, I really want to do this. What do you think? And then it's like you're inviting in the no instead of being like, yo, babe, I found this thing. Like, I'm all in. How can we make this happen? And they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, let's make it happen.
Yeah. And as you were saying that, I was like, it's the power of having a partner, like a supportive partner. Mm-hmm. And this, if, whether you're with a partner or you're single, it's partners and friends or partners in intimate relationship, but having people in your life that you can feel safe to share what your dreams and aspirations are and what you're going for. Yeah. And I'm the same as you. Like, I always bring crazy shit to Kurt where I'm like, I'm going to go do this thing. I'm going to go do this thing. We're going to go do this thing. Let's do this thing. And he's like, okay. And recently he told me, he's like, one of the things that made me fall in love with you is that you had this huge vision for yourself and for your life and for your business. And also when we started talking about doing van life, how you were just like, fuck it, let's go. We'll figure it out. And we did. He's like, I don't think I would have fully gone all in. I think I probably would have tried to be more calculated in those decisions. And I'm more of and I know you are too, build the rocket ship as it's flying.
Hell yeah.
And don't plan your way out of success. Like, we need to just start building, and you can plan as you go. And so there's a time and a place for that. But yeah, I think that there's a level of being able to feel safe enough within yourself to vocalize what it is that you are building, or the next level of what you're building, which is what we're both in. And I feel like I want to kind of move there, because I'm like, I feel like you and I are in this shift of what's next.
Huge.
you know? And I know before we hit record, you were telling me how your youngest is going to go to school. Is that right?
Yeah,
Preschool?
she starts kindergarten
Or
in the
kindergarten.
fall.
Yeah. So you'll have more space,
Wow.
which is like new. You've
Yeah.
never had, well, you haven't had that since pre-kids.
Yeah.
8, 9
I've never
years ago.
had full days to myself, like
Right.
all the days.
Right. And it's like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
what do you do with all that
Holy
space? Right. So, and for me, I'm stepping into this, like, I'm really embodying the CEO of like, what does the CEO of a company do? And the leadership team that I'm building, and I'm cultivating this vision and mission, and it's becoming so much bigger than me. And that's a huge identity jump from being very self-supportive and being able to run the company for the most part on my own with some support from like VAs and OBMs and that type of support, but building a legit team who's like ride or die with me. I know you've done that for yourself too. And it's like that identity jump and how that impacts everyone around you, kids, husband, partner, friends, and that journey of, I think, forever evolving entrepreneurship identity. And I think everyone listening to the show knows that feeling so well, because it's like who you were yesterday is not even who you are today. Who we were this morning is like not even who we are right now on this sitting down. And yeah, so I want to talk with you about that, because I think that's been something that we've bonded over is this continuous sense of outgrowing ourselves, and how do we make peace with that and the ripple effect that has on everyone around us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so much for me there comes back to the support system and business with team. I really believe there's no freaking limits, that whatever your dream is, you could 10x it, and it's so possible. And it's really just up to you to go after it. You get the clarity as you go, but going back to the no limits, it's just building for scale, building leverage, building capacity. In motherhood, like you could travel the world and speak and bring your kids, or like have a need, like everything's possible. But I think sometimes we cut off that possibility because we're like, oh, how would it work? And it's like, I think the how is not your problem. Like figure out what you want and the pieces will come together, but they come together as you take forward motion towards the thing that you want.
Yeah, that's something actually we should totally talk about. Shout out to my herbalist, Dale Hicks. He taught me about this thing, and there's a system called creative assessments, and there's a test called higher alignment. And I don't know the founder of it. I think he just passed away, unfortunately, but it's a really beautiful system. And he talks about there's 3 main operating systems that we all have: act, feel, and think. Right. And most of the population thinks first, then feels, then acts. And when he did the assessment, he told me I was an act first. I think it was act, then think, then feel. And you're probably very similar, I would assume.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what brought us together, because we're both like, let's fucking go, like take action, figure it out. And that's how we become successful. Totally. Like it's just what it is. But the act first people, he was telling me, rely heavily on gut instincts and heavily on impulse, actually, where to the majority of the population, we can look a little delusional or like, how the fuck is this girl doing this? Because we don't even know. We're just listening to this little intuitive nudge that's pulling us, and we're like, okay, we're listening. Yeah. And we just keep taking one baby action step at a time. 100%. And I know that that's something that's made you successful and me successful 100%. In our careers is like, and in our lives and friendship, it's like, we have to just trust the nudge and take the step. Like, don't think that when you can shorten the distance between idea and action, that is where your speed picks up. And I know for you and I, that's very, like, we're very in sync there of like, we do things fast, we move fast, we think fast. It's just, I think how we're wired. But for those people who aren't act first, who maybe think a lot and then feel a lot, and then their last thing is action, I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on, what are your like maybe suggestions or advice for those people who maybe their natural rhythm is think, feel, act, and they need a little push to take action sooner?
Yeah. I almost think my getting started in business story is the perfect analogy for this. Because like the through line that I see is every next step was revealed in action. And the business that I have today, the life that I have today would never have been possible if I just kept taking those forward steps. I didn't know where the forward steps were going, but okay, so 5.5 years into stay-at-home motherhood, I was in direct sales. And, I've always been that type of person. I'm just curious about like, ooh, if I'm doing this, like, what would it be like to be at the top?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd made my way to the top of a direct sales company. I was working my ass off, like on my phone, like, got to make sales this month because every month starts at 0. Like, let's go. And my husband's like, yo, like all that time and energy that you were putting into someone else's business, what if you put that into your own? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what I want to do, but yes to a business.
Wow.
So within, a week, I had invested $2,000 into a mom business mentorship thing, like just found it. I was like, okay, cool. This seems like a good next step.
Yeah.
And once I was in there, I was like, wow, there's so much more to learn about business. And so I just kept investing, and no, I didn't have the money. I just put it on a card knowing that it would pay off an ROI as I learned business, like any small business that you always take out business loans. I mean, typically to like start something.
Sure.
So I was like, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to keep taking those forward steps. And, I was like, oh, mom confidence coaching, I'm doing the mom thing. That makes sense. And it didn't really stick, but I didn't let that make it mean anything about me or my success. In 6 months, I'd probably invested like $20,000 and I'd made $132 total, not per month, total. And around that time, my husband's like, okay, like, let's slow the roll. This isn't working. And in my mind, though, I was like, no, like, I'm doing this. I'm not going to stop. I'm simply going to be resourceful about, like, do I need to go wait tables on a Friday to continue to learn more about business and keep going? And so I was applying for full-time roles on Indeed, like literally thinking about giving up motherhood, but so that I could build this thing. And I didn't even know what it would be. So through being on Indeed, I found this 15-hour a month role with I think it was 15 hours a week with a life coach out of California.
Okay.
And it didn't say anything about being a virtual assistant, but I was, it was easy things like inbox management, calendar management, like client experience. I was like, I can do this around kids and it's flexible. I was like, where do I find more of these? And so I went on this like detective sleuthing adventure on the internet, and it led me to the virtual assistant industry. And I saw it and I was like, fuck yes, like this is what I can do inside of motherhood and make good money. In 3 days, I'd booked a $2,000 a month client. In my first full month, I hit $5,000. It looked like overnight success, but it wasn't. It was all the efforts compounding and all just those little forward steps. Immediately after that, I'm like, I got to teach every mom I know how to do this. So I launched my program, which now in 3 years, we've had 500 students, and like, it's just been insane. And then the golden thread entrepreneurs are like, hey, how can I hire the VAs you've trained? Oh, cool. Okay, I'm going to create a VA agency, Icon and Lightning. And then it's like every next step is revealed in motion. And I think people get hung up planning what it should look like, and they miss like the actual parts where it happens.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Like the listening is what I'm hearing. Like, you listened to the inner, whether it was inner guidance or connection to God or whatever it was that was like, keep looking, or you trusted the excitement or the aliveness, even when you were doing the Indeed thing. I didn't know that part of your story of the life coach in California. And it's like, and trusting that gut visceral response in your body of like, wait, this is something I need to keep pursuing. There's something here, and then doing that and keep going. And I think that's where a lot of people miss the mark, is when they are trying to control the plan and the outcome, and they forget that we are simply little beings, that we get all these little insights, and our gut knows, our subconscious mind knows. And if we trust that, and we let go of control, and we just take that one next step, the path will be revealed. And it requires a radical amount of self-trust and belief in something bigger, I think, to not go crazy and to feel safe in the unknown always. Yeah. Like, how do you keep taking the actions when you don't know that it's going to work out, but part of you does know? Part of you has a deep knowing. So I want to go back to that, the deep knowing, the conviction, because it sounds to me like you had that, and I've had this since I think forever. I had this deep knowing and this conviction that like I was here to do big things, and I had a big mission, and I was here to make a lot of impact. And I didn't even know what that meant. I just knew I wanted to help people, and I wanted to do it in a big way. Seems like you also had that. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest things that's coming through is you have to disregard circumstance, and you have to disregard what you see and perceive and what people say around you. like you got my husband, you got to stop investing. Or like I told him I had a $66 month. It was the first month I made money. I'm like, like I won the lottery. But I told him like, babe, I'm going to build a 30K month business. And he's like he laughed at me and he's like, you are out to lunch. That's toxic. That's going to set you up to fail. And I literally I had this decision point where I'm like, do I listen to him? Or do I listen to what I know is possible for me? And I didn't, this is a whole other crazy story. I don't know if we want to go that route, but I didn't tell him for a year about my business until I held up my phone a year later. And I had just had, I think it was like a 45K. No, I just had my first 50K month. I was like, look, I did it. Remember when you laughed at me last year because I told you I was going to do this? Wow. I did it. And he's like,
I have goosebumps. What?
But I think people get hung up too, one, in planning and having to perfectly orchestrate the plan before they get started. Yeah. That's the biggest self-sabotage. But second, it's once you're in it, people, because you're creating something that is not seen yet. It's not 3D. And so you see it, but other people don't. They're not going to get it. And even your bank account's not going to get it. You have to be so convicted. And I think it comes back to the desire point, like you were saying, is just trust that knowing and keep going. And it's going to look like it's not working, but you have this divine trust that the things that aren't meant to work don't work. And that it's me finding the VA industry was because if you want to say failed for 6 months, I don't believe it was failure, but it's closed door. Mm-hmm. Mom coaching is not, it's not working out. No one's buying this thing that you just launched. And it's it led me to this place. And something else that's coming through is what I'm doing now, what my business is now is way bigger than I'm hosting a conference. Sam is the MC, by the way, in June. And it's never would I have imagined that, that's bigger than I could have even imagined. And I think that's too, when someone so perfectly plans and orchestrates, it's you're cutting off the magic. What if it's 10 times bigger than you could even imagine?
Yeah. And also I think if we had the visions that we have now when we first started, we probably would have been stopped with overwhelm because of how big it was, right? I wasn't given the vision I have for voice and visibility at the beginning. It started as podcast production, and then it evolves, and then it became, we are a full-scale media company, and we have a podcast network, and we support the top talent of the world in leading voices. If that was to be the first thought that I had, I think I would have shut down, you know? And so I think that we are not given what we can't handle. It is baby steps. And I think we want to see the whole plan, but the truth is we wouldn't. We wouldn't want to see the whole plan. It would overwhelm the shit out of our nervous systems. And so I think it's divinely designed that way of it is truly take one step, okay? Then you can get more information. Take one step. And people want just 10 steps away. I see this all the time. I'm like, you just need to do the thing that you know you need to do. And then once you do that, you'll be given the next step, but you don't get you don't get step 3, 4, 5 until you do step 2. Yeah. Stop being a little bitch right now. Just do the next thing. And it's I feel this deep sense of being an obedient listener, whether it's with God or spirit, or I don't even know. It's just this higher power of I need to be obedient. And it's when I'm obedient, everything works out. When I'm not obedient, things get fucked up. And I think when we realize we're not in control, that's when we can almost take a step back and be okay. And I always say this, I'm God, use me. How am I going to be used?
I say that too.
Do you? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's this feeling of realizing it's not us. It's we're the vessel or we're the channel for the work. Yep. It's not us. Yep. And when we surrender to that, then I think God works through us and uses us and plants ideas or connects us to people and is okay, come on. It's a game. It's a fucking game. When you see it like this, you're oh, I know how to play the fucking game. Yeah. It's called chill out and take one step at a time and just do what you're asked. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be scary. Things are going to pop up. There's going to be fears. And I think the more that you're in it, I mean, you've been in the game since when?
2022.
22. Okay. I've been in the game since 2017. So it's with every pivot, with every evolution of business, it's there's new. And I think the more we can get comfortable in the unknown and not need to know, the more we can truly surrender and relax and know that everything's always worked out. Everything will always work out, but let go a little.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust your desires, trust the bigger vision, and then just, you know, like you said too, the speed, you get the idea, you go.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also something that can hang people up, is they're like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll shelve it, or, you know, when the timing is right. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you would
I
have what
know.
you want if you just moved on it.
Right. Success loves speed. There's that quote. It's like,
Yeah.
it's true. I mean, you were literally in the gestation of voice invisibility. Like, voice invisibility
Dude.
was birthed.
You guys, Sam humped my leg. We were in a hotel room where were we?
I think we were in Denver.
Oh my gosh, we were in Denver.
We were in Denver.
Wow.
Holy shit. Yeah, we were jumping on a
Yeah.
hotel bed or hanging out on a hotel bed. And I was going through a crisis of like, I know I'm not supposed to be coaching anymore, but I don't know what I want to do. And I feel so like, what the fuck? Like, I was in a huge identity gap and had no fucking clue.
And it came in full freaking, like the name and everything, full download. And then we just start freaking out. And then she's on top of me, like on my leg.
This is classic Sam behavior. Like, even growing up in middle school, I'd be like twerking, let's go. Yeah, I got the whole name. I remember we were riffing on the hotel bed. I was jumping up and down. Our friend Nicole Deidre came in, and I think it was the three of us, maybe a few others, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And we were I was like, oh my God, would you buy this? Would you guys buy this? What if I did this? Like, what the fuck? Like,
and then you walked away from that event with your first client.
I did.
In the agency.
Yeah, within 7 days of that hotel room moment, I was like, I'm going all in. And I remember I was just working, and 7 proposals out the door in the first week. I think that's what it was, or the first 14 days or something. And yeah, we signed clients, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, holy shit, what happens when you just listen and there's a guttural feeling of go? Like, don't think. And I'm an overthinker. Like, I definitely am an overthinker. If I let myself think too much, I talk myself out of it. I think that's very common for most people. If they just sit with it long enough, they won't take action, because then inertia comes up and all the other shit. So it's like, don't give yourself time to doubt it. Like, don't give yourself time to overthink it. And I didn't. You were there with me. Like, I had a team of 6 in less than a month. It was like, I was like, fuck, I need a project manager, I need a designer, producer, blah, blah, blah. And that happened so quick. And then here we are.
Yeah. Okay. This is coming through too, is preceding the explosion. And typically the explosion will happen easily. Like, I think about when I found the VA industry, and suddenly I'm like booked out and earning more take home than I ever did in my corporate career, even as a director. So easy. And the download came in for the agency. Boom, 7 proposals in 7 days. But preceding the explosion is tension. And so many people run away from the tension instead of leaning into it. And I'm like, that is where like pressure creates the thing.
The diamonds.
And, yeah, pearls, diamonds, coral, all of that. And I think human nature, we run away from things that feel sticky. And isn't that one of life's greatest lessons, is like, what if you can get in it, get comfortable with it? Because that, it's like the trampoline, like from that comes the spring forward.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's like, I'm not a big fan of those sticky moments, but I think the more sticky moments you have in business, whether it's having to have hard conversations with people, friends, clients, team, or being in a place of, I don't want to do this anymore, but I don't know what I want to do. So I have to keep doing this thing because I got to pay the bills. But then also like, fuck, like what, I can't keep doing this. And you're in that sticky place. Of course, we all want to get out of that place. But to your point, it's like the only way out is through. And I think it's like, I think I could have saved myself so much time. There was probably a 2, maybe 3 year span of me doing things, but feeling like, I know there's more, but I don't know what it is. And instead of leaning into that and getting curious and like doing some research or like being like, what could I do? I did that a little, but I think I actually probably wallowed a little too hard in the, like, I don't want to be here. And so that's really challenging, when you don't give yourself options. And so I think that there's like, I think there's a delicate way to not bypass what you're feeling, but then to also not just stay in the shit,
Yes. If we're reverse engineering this, I think what happens, tension, you get curious, you create space to like, tinker with it. And then it's the unknown leap. You launching the agency, maybe being like, oh, let's check out the VA industry, and being okay not knowing the outcome.
Yeah. And so for people that are listening that are maybe in a a pivot or a shift in identity, it's a 1 year in numerology. And I think a lot of people are starting new things. They're starting fresh. They're maybe rebranding or reiterating. It's like, for me, I always think about what is the biggest possible version of the identity that I want to step into. And so I was teaching this at a workshop. My friend Christine Monroe hosts an incredible community in Denver called the Loom Collective, and she had me come in and teach a workshop on visibility. And I was talking to them about identity and how if we try to show up, whether it's online and in person, from the wrong identity, we won't attract and we won't create what we want to create, because it's almost like the root of who we are is off. So we're not creating the right outcome. And so we have to get our core identity right. And so I thought about it and I was like, okay, a few years ago when I realized I didn't want to be a coach anymore, or it felt like there was more to that. I felt like I wanted to bring in my creative side more and my personality and entertainer and speaker. I was like, okay, yeah, those are the identities I need to actually step into. So when I started to rewrite my identity, I actually took out my phone and I wrote who I was becoming. I was like, I am a speaker, I'm an MC, I'm a media host, I'm a this, I'm a founder. I was like, and so all those identities at the time scared me. I was like, oh my God, like I'm a speaker, I'm a founder, I'm a CEO. What the fuck? That doesn't feel like the right identity for me. And so I had to keep practicing that identity. And then once you're in that identity more and more and you've embodied it, then you take actions like it, because you're like, well, what would a CEO do? Or what would a speaker do? Or what would a podcast and media host do? What would an MC do? Well, they would do XYZ and they wouldn't do ABC. And it made me start to realize that I was operating in a false identity. And that's why every action I took felt frustrating. Everything I did when I was operating from the coach identity, or even when I came out of psychic, the psychic channel identity, I was like, this doesn't quite feel right. I couldn't put my finger on it, but everything I did, I was like, this isn't really it. Then I really sat with myself. I got very clear, and I also leaned on support, asked for help, the psychic, like all the things, all my people. I was like, help. And everyone was mirroring back to me. Sam, you said you wanted to be a speaker and be a media personality and have the show for so many years. Like, we all know it. What are you doing? And I'm like, you're right. It's like I was just really safe in this old identity and I didn't realize it. So then I had to adopt the new one. And ever since I adopted that new one and I started taking actions from that new identity, which just takes practice, just like a new habit of existence, everything started exploding like wildfire. Mm-hmm. And I realized that that is the underlying secret hack to anything.
100%.
It's identity. You and I fucking love Neville Goddard. We love all things, law of assumption. And it's like, it's identity. It's 100% identity. If I think about the biggest leaps of my life, it has always been identity.
Yep. 100%. I mean, my story mirrors that exactly. Like when I had my first $66 month, I told my husband, yo, 30K months, it's happening, And I decided that that was who I was going to be. So once, it took me from there, I think that was November. So December, it took me about 30 days to find the thing. But as soon as I found the thing, I built for scale. So I was like, okay, 30K month business. What do I do? What are my offers structured like? I hired team like almost immediately. I invested in ads and I was continuing to, I invest in like a 10K program before it, I'm still like not even making the money to sustain that. But I was like, this is what a 30K month CEO would do. Yeah. Within 6 months, it happened. Mm-hmm. And then, we jumped to 50K months and it's just grown and grown from there. And it constantly, like you said, it's this like, what next identity is my evolution calling in? Yeah. And we should talk about that too. Like we're both in a new season. We're calling in new identities.
Yeah. Yeah. We're in a big jump. Yeah. And I think every one of these identity jump precedes that era of tension and fear and limiting beliefs. Like all your bullshit comes up before you make the jump.
Your old self has to die. And it's not easy. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. Like we've cried together about it. We're like, growth is so painful.
It is. It's very painful. I remember like just physically, like I used to have really bad growing pains growing up. I don't know. I'm not that tall, so I feel like they shouldn't have been that painful, but like it was so fucking painful to grow. I remember laying in my parents' bed they weren't there, I'd just be laying down in so much pain. My ankles, my knees, like I don't know what it was, but I remember how painful that was. And I think we forget, we think growth is only going to be sunshine and rainbows, and it's like that, and it's also really hard. People fall away, relationships change. Like I think for me that's the hardest part, is the relational dynamics that change, or friendships that you realize like it's just not it, you know? And it's that feeling, I think, when you got a big heart and you're like, fuck, like I can't keep doing this. Like I really need to keep my inner circle and curate that and really protect my energy and be discerning. And that, as women specifically, that definitely brings up a lot of guilt and shame and I don't want to be a bad person and fuck, you know, but it's also what leadership is, and it's a non-negotiable.
100%. Yeah.
So I know for me, that's very much what's present is there's hard conversations I've had to have. There's friendships I realize can't come with me. And it's not like I need to chop people off. It's more that I think they just fall away. I think people just naturally fall away I think about us like plants don't need to be taught how to grow. They just grow naturally, but we need to prune the plants. We need to get rid of, I did it this morning when we were hanging on the couch. Like I was pruning the plant. I was taking away all the dead leaves. And I think about that with us. It's like, we're going to grow because that's, we're in an ever growing universe. Like we are ever expanding. It's an abundant universe. So if we are that, then we are always growing and evolving, which means the only thing stopping us is us. So how do we prune that? And a lot of people get upset when we are growing and maybe they're not, or they are witnessing that and there's some weird dynamic happening and it's just, it gets sticky, and it requires us, I think, to be in such more embodied leadership, really, of a conscious leadership of, okay, well, what is the highest version of me actually doing in this moment? You know, and how is she showing up and how is she handling these conversations? Because that's not ever easy, but it's, I think, part of the game when you have a mission big. You know?
Absolutely. It takes me back to when we were talking about, you know, kind of tuning out the 3D and staying aligned on the pathway and vision, and other people's thoughts and opinions are none of your business. And your only job is to, you know, stay tapped in and tuned into your highest purpose. I'll share too, like something that's been challenging for me. And I mean, you touched on that, being heart-led human, is abandonment for me has been really huge, where, you know, like you're meant to evolve, your business and your offers are meant to evolve. But I felt this sense with both team and with my clients that by me growing and evolving my offers and pricing and who I am, that I was essentially abandoning the people that helped get me there. And that was something big that I really had to work through.
I feel that.
Yeah.
It's when you're also working with people and you know things need to change and they're used to the way that you've been working or operating with them, and you're like, okay, I need to have this conversation, whether it's a price change or a structural change or whatever. And not everyone's going to be down, and it's like,
people are going to be upset.
Right. Yeah. But you can't people please your way to
100%
success and fulfillment.
And I think that goes back to the identity too, how I've been able to lean into that. Not saying it's been easy. And I think I've delayed decisions because I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. But it's the identity piece. It's I'm running a company. I'm not making friendship decisions. I'm making business decisions. And it's, you know, for the betterment of the company, for the betterment of how we can serve our clients, for the betterment of my fulfillment, so that I can show up as an effective leader and CEO and all of that for my kids too.
Yeah. And I think even because we're in service-based industries as well, it's like we're helping people. We're either offering a service or whatever. And so there is part of us that I think in that identity is like, oh, like who we help can come first, air quotes. But that also becomes unhealthy when we put our own needs as the founder or the leader last, because then we get burnt out and we can't run the thing and we can't be a vessel for the work, you know? And so in a way it does feel like we have to be selfish or rewrite the narrative of what does it actually mean to be just a leader or a woman in business, to be able to prioritize our needs so we show up with a full cup and we can lead in a healthy way and we can prioritize our health and well-being and our connection to God and all the other things and step into leadership fully and not keep collapsing into old identities and patterns like people pleasing or fear of abandonment or fear of rejection or scarcity or any of these other things that can be like programs running in the background.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. It also makes me think, I think a trap that a lot of entrepreneurs get into, they get in, they're like, ooh, I see success, and they build themselves a job.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge wake up too, which then calls forward the new, CEO identity and calling in support and team and systems and all of that.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to wrap it up with like us publicly sharing this on air, like what you're stepping into, what you're building, what you're claiming the next year or so, whatever. And I'm happy to do the same. I know you have VA Fest coming up in July, June. I don't know why I keep messing up those months. It's because it's your birthday month. June of 2026, which is going to be an industry-wide incredible conference. Want to share a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I'm hosting VA Fest Live. It's June 12th and 13th in Minneapolis, and it's the first ever in-person conference for virtual assistants, but it's not going to be the dry chicken, like your eyeballs bleed and you're like trying to stay awake at 4 p.m. It's a festival, like it's experiential, it's play. We've got, sponsors and partnerships, and they all bring an experiential element. I mean, Sam's emceeing, so you can already imagine everyone's going to be moving and twerking and
it's gonna
laughing.
Be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun. But the identity piece there is, we talked about this yesterday. I have claimed the identity of speaker for over a year now. And this year is the year where, I'm on a stage about every month this year. And it's the first year of that. And it's so fun to see it manifest from claiming that identity, but not necessarily forcing it, but showing up as a speaker, because what you believe about yourself and how you show up is what other people believe and see too. And it's, we spent, Sam and I and Amanda, we spent some time in Winter Park over the weekend, and we played, we snowboarded, we ate, but we also did business masterminding. And it was fascinating to write out my offers and all of that and be like, whoa, my business has evolved. And what was the huge focal point for the first couple of years is not so much now. So I build industry dominating teams for founders and business owners from the VAs that I've trained inside the VA Leadership Academy. But the VA Leadership Academy was always the main focal point of my business. And now it really is Icon Enlightening, the agency, and also my speaking era and my author era.
Yes. Yeah, it's cool. It's like I know a lot of people that are listening are stepping into thought leadership and really claiming their space as speakers and or hosts of shows and becoming, whether it's media personalities or front-facing brands or the voices and faces founders, like really making that identity shift right now. And it's cool to see that in real time for you as well. And for me too, Absolutely. It's like, it's really happening. And there's a huge amount of like, wow, things are going to change. And so just letting them change and continuing to refine the way we show up and like what we do and how it works, or if it doesn't work, and sometimes we do need to just write it on a whiteboard and realize, wait a second, this is not actually the thing that I thought it was. And so it's so helpful. Like if there's one thing that I would take from this weekend with you and being in Winter Park with you and Amanda, and doing this playcation plus business masterminding and crushing the slopes, is that play is productive, and being in close relationship and proximity to other women or people in business who are also doing big things and have big visions is absolutely a non-negotiable. Like it just is. And having not be doing van life anymore has connected me so much more to in-person community, which is amazing. And so having you here is so fun because I'm like, we get to fuck around and find out, in real time, in real life. And I think there's nothing that beats that in-person community. So I know VA Fest is going to be amazing for that. I'm so excited to MC and speak and get people all riled up. And I think that which is why I love podcasting so much. There's this call to community and to connection. And so I think live in-person stuff, podcasting, where it feels like we're sitting and hanging out with everyone, like, and it's just this feeling of actual like, hey, we all in this, we're all just doing our best,
Absolutely.
And we don't need to pretend and we don't need to perform. We don't need to be perfect. It's like, it's this is the life of building something you care about.
Yeah. Heart to heart, human to human. It's messy no matter what level you're at. You're just going for it. In it. Okay. So Cher, what's your next identity and era coming forward?
Yeah. I think the biggest shift right now for me is I had claimed speaker a few years ago as well. So I've been speaking pretty consistently for the last few years, but more so now that I'm grounded in a place, in a location. You know, it was a little hard when we were on the road because it wasn't always possible to do that. So now that I'm here, I've been speaking like 3 to 4 times a month, which has been great. We're teaching workshops. Awesome. And I would say the next level of my show is really like media host, which is why we're in studio. We're in Let's Do Podcast. Shout out to Yobel. And building out the studio for myself and being able to have guests fly in. Like, it's been so cool having guests fly in. It feels like this is the next version of my show, becoming a talk show and all that. It's like a business talk show because that doesn't exist yet. And I want to make that. And then also the emceeing, that's been more of it's definitely taken more of a front seat. I didn't realize I was like good at it until I was given probably 15 reflections at an event that I emceed of like, oh my God, you need to do this more. You're so good. You're so good. And I was like, really? It's so easy. It's so fun. And isn't it always that way where you're like,
yeah,
okay. So I've been emceeing more, which has been amazing. But I think the biggest jump for me really right now is moving from business owner to founder. And this seemingly heart-crushing realization that I don't want to do that much because I have done it all for the last 10 years and I've loved it. And I'm realizing that there's people that are much more talented than me that can fill these seats in voice and visibility, whether it's podcast production or PR and media. We had KJ on the podcast recently. She's our publicist, or social media or marketing. And I can oversee things. But really my sweet spot is the brand identity and really wanting to stay there and helping the leader with like advising them on moving forward. How do we move forward? How do we protect their energy? How do we keep them on path and focus? Because I think that's the hardest thing, and all the shit that comes up, all the inner stuff that comes up. And so it's actually getting me out of the majority of the day-to-day. And that I think is a pretty big jump. It's like, oh shit, like our client's going to want to work with us because I'm not doing everything, you know, and just realizing like sustainably, I can't be 10 different roles in the company. And that's what I've been doing. And in order to build what I see in my mind's eye and what I feel like God put on my heart, I know that I need to become the CEO and the actual founder. And I have so much fucking resistance. Like if you were a fly on the wall, Kurt and I having conversations and me just like, not complaining, but just being like, am I supposed to be a CEO? I don't think I'm supposed to be a CEO. Fuck this. Like, and then being like, maybe I should go do something else. Like, I don't know. And Kurt's like, well, maybe you aren't supposed to be a CEO. Like maybe that's not the path, you know? And so us just talking and then him even telling me, well, you know, when we have kids, maybe you do want to be a stay-at-home mom. And the more I sat with that, the more I'm like, no, actually, no. It's not what I want. I'm just noticing my own ego's resistance into stepping into the next level of leadership, which is going to require me to have next level discernment, boundaries, conversations, and to not be as accessible because I literally do not have the time. And I'm coming up against that edge right now where I'm like maxed out. And I'm like, I can't keep going like this. And I don't even have kids yet. And so just, I think it's just this feeling of like, oh, fuck. Like this thing that wants to be birthed through me is going to require me to be a very different version of me. And I might not be the girl that everyone likes anymore because I'm not able to be that anymore. It's like when you're holding the responsibility of what you're building, it's like there's priorities and there's decisions you have to make and not everyone's going to get that. And I think it's that part for me that's like disappointing people and not being available for everyone. And, you know, I fucking want to help people. So it makes me like, but it's also part of growth, you know? And I've been on the receiving end of that where I've had somebody say no to me and I'm like, what the fuck? You know, I took it personally and I realized like, oh, okay. Like that's part of it, you know? And so now I'm in those shoes and it's quite uncomfortable, but I know it's the shoes I need to step into or else I will probably forever have anxiety and feel frustrated, you know? So yeah.
And what if it will allow you to deepen the work that you're so good? Like it's gonna make those relationships even better, not worse, because the impact and touch with your clients that only you can do, you're gonna be able to deepen that work and just bring even more forward.
Yeah, for sure. I can see that. I think it's like the multiple parts, right? It's like there's the part of me that's like, fuck.
Yeah.
And it's the part of me that's like, I want to do nothing. And then part of me that's like, I want to fucking work all day. And it's like all the parts of us, you know, as leaders.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, you're like, okay, we're going to the next level. And then your human's like, I'm going to have a tantrum and pound on the table. No.
I know. My soul's like, let's go. And my human's like, oh,
no.
Please,
give me a passy.
Yeah. I don't want to.
Yeah.
But I think I hope that's very relatable for everyone, because I think it's not talked about enough of the two different speeds that our human and our soul self have, and how we always are kind of facing this inner conflict, and how do we mitigate that? It's like really leaning on our practices, being in touch with ourselves, and just doing the obedience thing one step at a time. And like, look what we built. Like, it's like, I feel like I'm nowhere near what I want to build, but I also am proud of what I build, and I know you feel the same. And so to just take that one step at a time, you know, and be like, one day at a time, we fucking got this. Lean on your peeps, ask for support, receive support. Yeah. You're going to build it. You're going to do it.
Stay
it's
in
all going to
forward
happen.
motion.
Yeah. Focus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like you always have the choice point, your human side or your highest self, like highest identity. But that I think the topic too comes in of the nervous system regulation and grounding. And that's been such an important part. I know both of our journeys too, is because, you know, as a leader, as a CEO, you hold a lot. Like you really do. And that's a choice you have to make. Do you want to hold a lot of responsibility in life? You lead a team, you lead hundreds of clients, you lead your family, your kids eventually. And, you know, so I think for me too, like a lot of my work has been learning how to safely and comfortably is not the right word, but, you know, hold that responsibility without freaking out or my hair falling out or not sleeping at night or, you know,
your shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I hope that the next time you come on the show, you've officially written your book.
Biz Mom No Limits. Let's go, baby.
Yes, Biz Mom. I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to read the book. I feel like it's going to be really helpful for me, you know, as like someone who's going to be entering that territory in the next, I don't know, year or two, and like what that's going to mean for me, and all the mindset stuff, the identity stuff, then the logistical time management stuff. So yeah, I'm so excited to have you as one of my bestest friends. And thank you for taking the time to be on the show. And I've loved spending however long we've been talking. I know we could go forever, but thank you.
What an
Thanks
honor. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love you. You guys, if you loved this episode, please make sure to take a screenshot and tag both me and Bre. We'll put her information in the show notes of this episode, and let us know that you loved it. You guys have been amazing about sharing this on your socials, sharing this with your friends, and leaving us reviews, 5-star reviews on the show if you love the show. My goal, I told Bre earlier, is to get 500 5-star reviews. I think we're at like 150 something maybe, so we're like a third of the way there, a little less than a third of the way there. So yeah, let's get 500 reviews. Like, let's freaking go. We got to carve out this business talk show space where we talk about all the things, but I think really pulling back the curtain and having these conversations just to normalize the ups and downs and behind the scenes of success and stuff. So yeah, love you guys. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being here, Bre, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.